Welcome back, beautiful people. Welcome back to the Feminine Leadership Summit. And today I have the pleasure of introducing Devi Maisha. Devi Maisha is a Tantra and sacred sexuality teacher. She specializes in showing men and women how to take their sex lives higher, release trauma, create better relationships, and transform their lives into abundance and ecstasy. She's a former certified personal trainer and nutrition coach, so she combines her knowledge and her study in these areas and with psychology, tantra, sacred sexuality, and her training and energy to facilitate inner healing and better sex for her clients. Maisha has studied chakra healing and life force energy healing, active tantra and shamanic tantra, and she is currently studying Tibetan Buddhist tantra. So welcome, Maisha.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah, thank you for being here. So I would love for you to just start by sharing a little bit more about your personal journey, kind of what led you to kind of study all of this and do the work that you're doing now.
Sure. So my first religion actually as a child was Buddhism. My parents were Buddhist when I was younger. And from there, I got into meditation. And so I started meditating at a very young age and was always interested in the human body and in how we think. When I was little, I saw the Karate Kid, the original one, and saw Mr. Miyagi doing this thing to Daniel at the end, and I didn't realize it was Reiki, but I remember saying, I want to do that, and I would run around the house, like Reikiing everything, or trying to make everybody feel better, or if they were hurt. I saw it as a magical power. And so then when I got older and I learned more about human sexuality, I read Our Bodies, Ourselves and learned about the Kama Sutra and learned about yoga and how yoga was really, this practice. It wasn't just about the asanas and health. It was really about this practice. And that just led me down this path as I was studying nature-based spirituality, and it just somehow flowed into Tantra eventually in this very roundabout, crazy way.
Beautiful. I love that. I grew up kind of a bit of a hippie nature kid, and indigenous kind of culture around me in Australia. And I really am grateful for that kind of like opening, I think it sounds like it led you down. You were already in this open place. So you just kept following that opening.
Yes.
So I'd love to talk more about Tantra and sacred sexuality. And, so the summit is about feminine leadership and really, balanced leadership and really about stepping into our power, our value, our worth, and our purpose in life to create, a better world for all of us. So I'd love to just kind of go down that path more about like what is Tantra for those people that don't know, and how is sacred sexuality something that can help us, heal and step into our power and our femininity.
So Tantra is a Sanskrit word, and it means to weave light and form with sound. And it's really the combination of our bodies, our spirit, all of the elements that make us who we are. In a lot of religions, there's a separation, especially monotheistic religions, there's a separation of the body and spirit. And Tantra says, no, these are all one. It's all together. And you learn how to live your life in flow from within that space. I found sacred sexuality, and Tantra is a form of sacred sexuality. Taoism is another form of sacred sexuality. But I found Tantra to be extremely healing. For me, I have experienced sexual assault and, very toxic relationship. And it was through the practice of Tantra that I was able to find my power, that I was able to find myself, and that I was able to see my sensuality and my sexuality as this bold feminine power that I had, as opposed to what's often taught where it's like, don't show that too much, it's dangerous,
Mm.
to be sensual. And I realized that the danger wasn't in the sensuality.
Mm.
It was in the lack of understanding of the power of it.
Mm. Beautiful. Yeah. Um, I totally agree that we're really taught in subtle and not subtle ways to disconnect from our body and from our sexuality and the power that holds, because apparently that power is dangerous. But it actually becomes dangerous when we're suppressing it and shaming it. And when we fully own it, then we become more responsible with our power.
Yes, yes. That's actually what I found. I found exactly that to be true.
Mm. And how does kind of coming into our power as women with our sacred sexuality, claiming our sexual power, um, how does that support women in also healing um, the divine masculine and the divine feminine kind of aspects within us?
Mm. So, I mean, if you ask 10 different people, you get 10 different answers. But for me, what I find is that the the sacred feminine, the divine feminine is she who gives birth to everything new. We take what is given to us and we can create
Mm.
literal new life out of it.
Mm.
And so that means that we're able to transmute. By no means does this doesn't mean that we are supposed to stay in situations that are toxic, bad, or abusive. And I think that's what some people think when they hear some of us say that we can help heal the divine masculine. It's not saying that we can stay there, and this may not be the charge of every woman, but for those of us who know how to hold that space, when we as women provide a safe space for men without fear of judgment, without fear of ridicule, then they begin to open up and they begin to show their true selves. They have been just as damaged as we have been. I tell people all the time, men have been given the choice of two emotions. They can be angry or they can be lustful. They haven't been given the vocabulary. And so often they don't know how they feel. But because we're better with emotions and we're better with with vocabulary, we can help them unravel that
Mm.
when we're in our power.
Mm. I love that. Yeah, just kind of want to reiterate what you were saying, that when we as women in our power can be a safe space for men to, without shame, without judgment, then they can actually relax and they can open to like their humanity, to this other realm of feeling and expression that lives inside of them, but they've been so disconnected from, even more so than women have. They have less permission in society and culture to be able to allowed feeling other than anger and arousal, lust,
Yes.
as you said.
Yes.
Yeah, and for me, that's allowing them the space to actually connect with their own divine feminine within them. Yeah,
Yes. Yes.
beautiful. Oh, I love it. So, yeah, I wanted to kind of like take it a little bit into, yeah, the realm of going a little deeper into healing our own sexual energy, or
Mhm.
sexuality, connection with our body, feeling safe in ourselves, right? Because we have to create safety within before we can be a safe space for others. Um,
Right.
how do you work with women on that?
Hmm. Yeah. So different means for different women, but the goal is always to get women into their bodies.
Mm.
I encourage women to do a lot of things solo,
Mm.
because I think that most of us we've been taught to gear most of what we do around men.
Mm.
And so we don't necessarily know ourselves
Mm.
well, or know what we want because it's always based on what they desire.
Totally.
And so I encourage women to do activities like dancing naked
Mm.
for themselves.
Mm.
A client of mine, I had her dress up very sexy to go out to dinner with her husband, but not for him,
Mm.
for herself. I find that when women feel confident in their bodies, in their sensuality, the men naturally gravitate toward that. Like they feel it, they sense it. It's powerful magnetism.
Mm.
So I encourage them to take very long baths. When they're self-pleasuring, don't do it for like 5 to 7 minutes. Take your time with it. I've had self-pleasure sessions of up to an hour. I want them to caress their body, feel their skin, feel excited about this body that they're in, and just begin to see it as something more than just human, to see it as this divinity in flesh, and for them to really connect with that spiritual part of themselves through pleasure,
Mm.
through the five senses,
Mm.
you know?
Yeah, I love it's a reclaiming and a reconnection of like spirit and sex, spirit and body, spirit and pleasure. And yeah, this kind of term comes to me, like pleasure can be medicine.
Yes.
I've experienced it healing a broken heart, moving grief through the body. And it's amazing. It's an amazing tool that we have at our disposal in any moment. And I love that you really bring it back to the simple, like the five senses, the sensuality of the five senses. If you're afraid to kind of like dive into self-pleasure or that sexual kind of realm, start with like caressing your own skin lightly. Yeah, smelling a rose, feeling the sun on your skin, and feel the sensuality of that. And that's yours, right?
Yes.
Like that's ours. That's
right.
Nobody else's. And yeah, thank you for really speaking to that aspect that we've been so taught as women, that our sexuality, our attraction, our pleasure, even our orgasm is for a man. Kind of like in a way belongs to somebody else. And it's no, that's mine. I'm going to claim that back and fill up my own vessel with that beautiful energy.
And in doing so, when we're filled with that energy and we fill ourselves with that energy, we no longer look to the masculine to fill it for us. And we don't put undue expectations on them to be this all that fills our void. This idea that a half of me meets a half of you is that's just not how it is. When we as full women come with ourselves all filled up, then we can see him for who he truly is, flaws and all, and we can accept it more because we're not relying on his love to make us feel better.
Beautiful. Yeah, you're really reclaiming your self-worth.
Yes.
And you touched on like the sexual energy as this creative energy, this life force, creative power. And I think that's really something that, again, we don't get in society. We're not taught that. But obviously, two people had sex and we exist.
Right.
So it's creative, but we don't have to just create a baby with it, right? We can create anything we desire. And I think that's really empowering, because especially on this topic of like stepping into your leadership as a woman, that you have the power to create. I'd love you to just speak a little bit on that, or how that shows up in the work that you do with women.
I love sex magic. I love sex magic. Um, I practice it often. Often, it is literally how I create my life.
Mm.
I encourage women to use that energy. It's just as you said, it's the same energy that creates life. And I explain to women how that same energy that creates life is the same energy that you can use to create yourself. Oh, sorry for the sounds of New York City in the background. Um, but that's the same energy that you can use to create anything.
Mm.
And at first, I think, women in particular come to sex magic with this idea of creating a partner, creating more money, creating all of these external things.
Mm.
And I highly discourage that, because when you are, it's like when you're using sex magic to only create something external, you receive that, but you also receive this kind of shadow side of it as well.
Mm.
And so I encourage women to kind of be very clear and clear themselves of their self-doubt.
Mm.
Because the sex magic is really about changing you internally. It's not that people saw The Secret, and they think law of attraction. If I just sit and think about it, then it'll just happen.
I get stuff.
Right. And so sex magic the same way. It's like, okay, I'll play with myself for like 5 minutes and I'll have an orgasm and then my lover will come. No, that's completely missing the point. When you're doing sex magic, it's about transmuting and alchemizing yourself so that you're changing your vibration and you're putting out something different into the world. Now that may be your major intention, is a new lover, a new car. That's the end goal. But in the interim, there are these changes that are occurring within you so that those things can come to you, that you magnetize it. I love sex magic. I believe it is extremely powerful. It's one of the gifts that we have as women. Men can practice it, but it's not quite the same. It's really our gift that we can do that.
Beautiful. Yeah, I love that, pulling the focus off of like, what can I create out here, and bringing it really back here. Like, what can I create within me, inside of me, and I'm hearing like alchemizing and transmuting the doubt, the fear, the shame, the low self-worth,
Yes.
transmuting that part of you that always wants to look outside of you, right?
Yes.
And really like coming home. I'm feeling like coming home to yourself and getting like really congruent with and intimate with all pieces of you. And then it makes the outside stuff just come to you, because you're like just aligned and congruent and like into yourself. You don't even need it, but it comes.
That's right.
Beautiful.
That's right. And that word you used, alignment, that's really key. It is always my goal to have my clients get in alignment with what it is, with what their soul really wants. Because we've been given all these other layers of what we think we're supposed to want. So do you really want the lover? Do you really want the car? Or is that a feed for your ego, a feed for someone else, a feed of the expectation that's been placed upon you? What is it that you're really looking for? And I help them to get in alignment with that, because things always manifest faster when we're flowing in alignment with what our soul is desiring.
I love that deeper clarity of what do you really want? Because like we say, we want money, but really what we want is freedom.
Yes.
Or we want a lover. Really what we want is like connection, to feel connected to everything in life.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Beautiful. So why do you feel like it is like needed right now in our world for women to claim their sexuality, their sacred sexuality, and step into their power, into their leadership?
The world needs us. I grew up hearing the phrase, "A nation can rise no higher than its woman." My father used to tell me that. Women are the first teachers. And so because women are the first teachers and did most of the child rearing, they were raising, giving the ideas and the thoughts to the next generation. It's a lot of responsibility. And then the Dalai Lama had a saying, you know, the world will be set free by women who are set free. And I think about those two sayings, and it really fills me up now, even as I think about it, that when you think of our planet, you know, as Mother Earth, you think about our our planet as feminine, and it's hurting. You know, the planet is hurting, and a shift needs to happen, a change needs to happen, and everyone's not going to awaken for sure, but the vast majority of the awakening will come through us. The new earth, the new world will be birthed through us. And so it's very important. It's not, men aren't going to lead this charge, and it's not because there's anything wrong with them. It's just, this is not what they do. They've done what they do for the past thousands of years. Because their positive has been manipulated as well, right? Where there was once a warrior and a protector, there is now warmongering, you know? And so they've been perverted just as we have. So this is not their charge. This is now our charge to reclaim. This is our charge to step in. This is our charge, because nothing will rise any higher than its women, which means we need to rise.
Breathing that in. I invite everybody watching to breathe that in. Yeah, and you said, you know, it's a big responsibility. And when we really break that word down, because I think, again, in society, we've been like conditioned to fear responsibility in a lot of ways. Especially, I think, in our generation, there's kind of been like a resistance and a rebellion to it. But responsibility, the ability to respond. Yeah, we have that ability to respond with love, with commitment, with clarity, with self-love, with compassion.
Yes. And that's all very feminine. You know, it is time for the masculine to put down the sword and shield, to come home and to just rest their head here, right? To just feel that love. It's that we can tell them it's okay. You don't have to do any more conquering, right? You're going. It's okay. Just rest here. Tell I've got you. I have you. It's okay. You're safe. We can do that.
Yeah. And I just really got that, you know, that feminine leadership. Yeah, there's stuff to be done, right? There's stuff to like do. But that just being and saying, just rest here.
Yes.
Like, world, just rest here.
Yes.
In my bosom, in my heart, like, it's okay. We can just rest now. Like, that is the feminine leadership.
Yes.
That is ultimately the doing.
Yes.
That we need.
Yes.
That being.
I think people get confused because it looks passive. It looks like non-action. That's how the feminine operates. It operates in the dark. It operates in the womb. It's passive, but it's doing so much. You don't see a child being formed. You don't see the seed once it's in the womb of the earth. It's very active. It's doing a lot of work. But it's growing. It's doing its thing. It doesn't look like action. Feminine doesn't look like that, but it's working.
And it's the medicine that we need.
Yes.
All of us.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So I know that you have a gift to share. with
I do.
everyone?
I do. For those who feel led, I would love to offer a 15-minute complimentary intuitive reading. I love doing intuitive readings for people. I do them for my clients. I include them in my sessions. I use tarot cards. I use oracle decks. But if you just send me an email and let me know that you've heard about it from the summit, it's info@sensualenergyalchemy.com. I'm sure it'll be placed. But yeah, 15-minute complimentary reading just to help give you some clarity and confirmation.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank
Such a
you.
powerful gift that I hope you take this goddess up on. Thank you so much for your time and your energy and your wisdom. And I already feel like I'm gonna go back and rewatch and like write down these gems. And I invite everybody else also to do that. If you weren't scribbling your notes already, and really sit with that. Yeah, I invite you. We invite you to really sit with this beingness and how much is actually being done and created and how much is working in that stillness and in that darkness and in that just softness. And invite you to do that with yourself first and foremost. Thank you. Would love to hear from you. And I just really appreciate you being in the world, Maisha.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate your call for this. I really, really do. I just, my heart is full. Thank you for this.
You too. Much love, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.